My adrenaline would get to running so hard, I couldn't wait to get on that plane. Now that sounds ridiculous, but a psychologist at Fort Bragg, North Carolina, when I had to go through decompression, they call it, that he said, you're one of them that fall in love with combat. And that sounds cruel. It sounds, because whoever coined the phrase that combat is H-E so-and-so, they meant it. It's terrible.
Hank Baker did 3 tours in Vietnam.
We were strictly advisors to the South Vietnamese Army.
Mr. Baker worked as part of a 5-man mobile advisor team working with South Vietnamese forces.
In 1965, me and this other guy was advisors to the Republic of Korean Tiger Division. We worked under a different concept than a regular Army unit. I was never in an Army infantry company. I was always in an advisory role, to include intelligence work, communication work, medical work, sanitation, but go to the field, hit the ground running. Yeah. It was mainly my job.
He went back to Vietnam for his 3rd and final tour in 1968. He told me he was shot during a 3-day-long surge in April of '69.
When I got shot through the leg, the bullet went in from the front. It didn't hit me in the back. I wasn't running.
A few years later, he retired from the Army, became a pastor, and later moved to East Tennessee and belongs to several veterans groups.
Well, I'm a life member of the Combat Infantrymen's Association.
He was at one of that organization's yearly meetings when he met a man who works at the Pentagon.
This guy come and sat down and just started talking to me, and he was there for this association also, and wanted to know would I consider going to Washington, D.C.
Mr. Baker was invited to come to Arlington National Cemetery and place a wreath at the tomb of the unknown soldier. So this year, the day before Veterans Day, on the Marine Corps birthday, he made that trip to Washington.
Did you ever see an old man cry? I sure did, Josh. It was the most humbling experience.
Hank Baker was one of 3 combat infantry veterans who were invited to be there that day. He says he was honored, humbled, and it's something he will never forget.
There's no way that a former military man that I can see can have a dry eye when he leaves that tomb of the unknown soldier.